Good evening, everybody. This is the regular meeting of Wednesday, April 30th. The time is 7:09 PM. Could you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Madam Clerk, could you read the roll, please?
Councilmember Brusher. Councilmember Coyle.
Here.
Councilmember Harris.
Here.
Councilmember Patel.
Here.
Councilmember Patil. Councilmember Pointer.
Present.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Here.
Okay, Madam Clerk, could you read adequate notice?
Adequate notice of this meeting as required by the Open Public Meeting Act of 1975 has been provided by the annual notice sent to the News Tribune, Star Ledger, Desi Talk, and News India Times on November 18th, 2024, and posted in the main lobby municipal complex on that same date.
Okay. We go to number 4, review of the minutes. We have the combined meetings of February 15th and April 16th. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Council President, I just have to abstain from April 16th, because I was not here.
Yes, and I think Councilman Shmuel, you weren't here on April 16th either, were you?
Thank you for the reminder.
Okay, all right, so 2 abstentions for April 16th, but we have the second. Okay, very good.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Council President remarks, very brief. We're all waiting to find out when the budget presentation, the mayor's budget presentation, is going to take place. He had said it was going to take place a week before the approval. The approval would be the meeting of Wednesday, May 14th. So that would mean that sometime next week, the presentation should take place. We are waiting to find out the date on that, and I hope it's soon, because the time for giving adequate notice on that is running very short. Let's see. A correction I'm making on what happened in a couple of meetings ago with the 4-minute public speaking time. I don't feel it's right when someone is, let's say they've used 2 minutes of their time and they have a question, and the question goes to the attorney. They should not have to leave the podium. If the question is answered, they have a follow-up question, they should have their entire 4 minutes to be able to use the follow-up question. So they should use those 4 minutes as they wish to ask and answer, have questions answered. So from here on in, I am not going to ask anyone to sit down when they have their 4 minutes and they have questions and they have time left. So that's a change I'm going to make. Finally, a reminder that the second annual Police Remembers Ride is May 9th. The Police Unity Tour will be riding in honor of in memory of EPD fallen officers, Patrolman Michael Dudash and Patrolman Frank Papiani. The ride in and ceremony starts at 11:30 a.m. at the Edison PD Memorial in front of headquarters. There will be an NJSP helicopter flyover at headquarters ceremony. Also, I lied, I have one more thing, and that is, I found this on Facebook. What did I do with it? Oh, I took a picture of it. Oh, dear. I cannot find the thing that I wanted to announce. That will be it for Council President remarks. What's that? Nope. Okay, so now we move on to unfinished business, ordinances for further consideration, public hearing, and final adoption. Madam Clerk, can you read the ordinance?
Ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriations limits to establish a cap bank.
Okay. Opening this up to the public. Any questions or concerns? Joyce?
All right. Due to the raising of the cap, I know people say they do it from time and time again. So we're going to raise the cap, and would that be us also going into our reserve that we over bonded? Because this is an election year, that we over bonded, so we're going to go into the reserve and then raise the cap also. That's why I don't understand why we're raising the cap, because I know we have a reserve. So somebody can explain to me why is it necessary to raise the cap? Because that heightens the taxes, you know, because every time I get my tax report, everybody keep telling me it's not going up, but you need to see my paperwork because it is going up. So I just want to know why it's so necessary at this particular time when the federal government is cutting. I don't know why we're spending. It makes me very nervous.
Okay. All right, I don't know which of you wants to answer. The two questions were, are we going into our reserves for the cap bank, and why now?
We are not. So we mentioned on Monday's meeting, this is ordinance good for 2 years. The other one has expired. We do propose doing this because it would affect future budgets. And so from a conservative, being fiscally responsible and conservative, we want to make sure that future taxpayer dollars are protected. And so this is what we are allowed to via the state statute. And so we feel comfortable that we may not use it at all. But in any event, this is the responsible thing to do.
Okay, anyone else on this ordinance? Yes, Liz?
Elizabeth Conway, 20 Netherwood Circle. I'm also speaking on the moving the cap from 2.5 to 3.5. I was at the Board of Ed meeting last night, and they are trying to keep their budget at 0%, which I think personally is foolish because of raising costs of everything. I think they're holding their hands and being penny wise and dollar foolish, I told them. But at the same time, going from the cap from 2.5 to 3.5, is it the possibility of something down the road that just in case we foresee, are you being proactive rather than reactive? And could you say, let me know at least what major item would be needed to raise the cap a whole percentage? That's my whole question.
Sure.
Do I sit down now?
You can stay up if you want. Okay.
Because I have 3
Yes.
minutes.
Anything that's foreseen that would cause this increase to come into effect?
So anything that I could think of in the future could be related to benefits or pension contributions. Usually our bills are a little bit delayed, and so let's say there's an influx of folks that are retiring, and we owe pensions a certain amount of money. This is a responsible way to manage our budgets, our future budgets, if you will.
So there's really no main thing. It's those items should be included in the budget because with pensions, you foresee pensions happening, but you also have new people coming on with a less salary that kind of could work its way out. I was thinking maybe the renovation of the community center is going to be a big item down the road, so we want to make sure we have that item or something along those lines rather than saying a pension item.
No, it wouldn't be that. I mean, you've got a certain finite amount of money allocated for that project, so it would not be related to that specifically.
Okay, so it's not a specific item, it's just, I'd vote no on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on this ordinance? Okay. Going on to council comments or questions about
Motion
the
to close the
ordinance.
public portion?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, can I get a motion to close the public portion? Joe made that. And
Second.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. And motion to adopt,
Motion to adopt?
is this would be the reading, is this not the reading of the, isn't the,
Comments would be after the motion is.
okay,
For discussion after you get a mover and a seconder.
right, okay. Oh, that's right. Okay, got it. Got it. Okay, we had our second. Okay, council comments, questions?
Council
I thought
President?
Joe made the motion.
John did? No, Joe made it for close. Who made the
Oh.
motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
Okay.
Okay,
And second was?
okay. The second is Nish, yes.
Okay.
Okay,
Now council.
and council comments, anything?
Council President?
Yes.
And just to reiterate and clarify, in regards to the 2.5% to 3.5%. That's the max that we can increase from the amount that the government can, the taxable amount that we can actually tax residents and businesses. So if our budget is $100, normally the max that we could go is 2.5%. That would be 102.5 for the following year. 3.5 would mean that we are allowed to go up to $103.50. Does not mean that we have to use that $103.50, right? This year, for example, we're proposing 0.95%, but for argument's sake, 1%, right? So that $103.5 minus 101, that 2.5 would allow it to be capped, i.e. saved for future use. As an example, in 2020, the overall budget appropriation went up 5%. That was allowed because they went to the 3.5 and then used capped money from previous years in order to go above that appropriation. Now, I'm not saying that was bad then, I'm not saying that was good then. One of the main arguments for utilizing that in 2020 was to increase the police department budget. So that would be a good thing to utilize. It's not to say that we're necessarily going to use it in the future. If you look at this year's budget, the previous 2 years where there's been a cap bank, we're not using it in this year's budget. It's just as a safeguard for future years if we need to actually use it for an emergency purpose. That would be it. Thank you, Council
Thank you,
President.
Council Vice President. Anyone else? Okay. Can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Quayle.
Yes.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Yes.
Council President Harris.
Yes. Motion is adopted. All right, Council, the clerk, could you please read ordinance 2248?
An ordinance adopting the 2 Schuyler Drive redevelopment plan, Schuyler Drive Study Area Block 160.21, Lot 50, pursuant to the local redevelopment housing law, NJSA 48:12A1-1.
Thank you. Any public comments about or questions about this ordinance? Okay, seeing none,
Motion to close the public portion? Second.
thank you very much. Can we get a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Thank you very much. Council comments, questions?
Council President,
Yes.
I think many of us on the council have been aware of this property for decades. It's sat, I think it was a famous color of the building for decades and cars piled up there for decades. I'm happy to see something finally come together in that property because this is what redevelopment's about. And this opportunity to have this property go from a blighted piece of property, which hurts the neighborhood, to a new project is really a great value for the residents in that area. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Council President, I agree wholeheartedly with Councilman Coyle said. I think it also helps our taxes as instead of just sitting around and making no use to anybody, this property being useful will actually help everybody else by decreasing our tax burden. So I'm glad we're moving forward with this, and I'm glad the redevelopment of the Route 27 is taking progress and taking steps in the right directions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Patel. Council Vice President?
Thank you, Council President. The other day, Councilman Brescher had mentioned like the items in regards to safeguarding, for instance, with parking or the actual square footage. I just want to remind people that it still has to go through the application process. So even though if this gets adopted, the applicant would still have to go before the Municipal Land Use Board in order to get its approval and make sure everything is up to our code and to the plan. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Yes, I echo what everybody has said here. From what it was, what this property was, which was extremely blighted and not attractive, to what will be a very nice building and multi-use type of building. I think it's a great addition to the town. Can we get any other council comments? Okay, can we get a roll call?
Councilmember Quayle.
Yes.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Yes.
Council President Harris.
Yes. Thank you. All right, we move on to number 7, new business, proposed ordinances, public hearing set down for Wednesday, May 14th, 2025. Madam Clerk, could you read the ordinance 2249?
An ordinance authorizing the Township of Edison to acquire irrevocable conservation easement over property located at 110 Clive Street, Block 557H, Lot 30B, on the official tax map of Edison.
Thank you very much. Can I get a motion to introduce?
Council President, I move this ordinance be passed on first reading, published according to law for further consideration and public hearing set down for Wednesday, May 14th, 2025.
Thank you very much. Council comments?
Second.
Oh, I need the second, sorry, second. Okay, we got an issue, sorry. Council comments, yeah. Yep, any council comments on this ordinance?
Council President?
Yes.
Just as a follow-up, Councilman Brescher had asked if the conservation easement would affect the rateable aspect of the property. Was there any clarification of that?
I did get an analysis from our tax assessor. We were not entirely sure, so if I could just rely on our township attorney to provide more insight. I think the question was, would the conservation easement affect the lots and what it would mean in terms of the impact? So,
Sure.
may.
Council President, if I may.
You may.
This conservation easement was part of the approval process as granted by the Land Use Board. Part of that process, in order to complete the application, requires the filing of a subdivision deed. It's called perfecting the subdivision. For whatever reason, the property owner and applicant has not done that. So there is no separate lot and block that the assessor's office has created for this specific property, because the perfection of the subdivision is what triggers that process. It's my understanding that the question can't be answered until the assessor has the lots separated out, so that we could know what the value of the improvements are and what the value of the land is. As you'll recall, your assessment is a combination of those two factors. Land has one value, improvement has another value. The fact that the property will be encumbered by a conservation easement may affect the land value, but I do not believe that the assessor can state that affirmatively yet. And my experience is that if it does affect it, it will be nominal.
Thank you for the explanation. I would only asked out of courtesy for Councilman Brescher because he had asked at the last meeting.
Understood.
I'm of the opinion that even if there is a negative impact to the rateable, the conservation of the glacier pond is paramount. So even if there is, I'm okay with that. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Any other council comments?
Council President,
Yes, Councilman Coyle?
from what I've learned, I think the neighbors are happy. At a point in time, I think this developer was trying to build 4 homes, and I think it upset Metuchen and Edison residents. So from what I'm hearing, there's going to be 2 homes there. I'm sure there are going to be homes that are worth $2.5 million in that beautiful area there, which I'm sure will get a good tax rateable. So as the counselor said, I'm sure it'll be minimal, but I'm glad to see we do have something happening in that place. I'll be curious who's going to maintain it, Metuchen or us. That's what and I think Metuchen deserves to maintain that, so I'll be glad to pass that to them when we choose to. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Actually, Councilman Coyle, I believe they wanted to originally build 6 homes on that property. So the fact that we got just 2 on there was a real win for us. For myself, I mentioned this on Monday, I live 3 blocks from there, and I remember when the home had been vacant, that had been there, had been vacant for years and years and years. The pond, which used to be a wonderful habitat, this glacial pond used to be a wonderful habitat for wildlife. And there were egrets, there were blue herons, there were all kinds of habitat aside from the deer and foxes. It just became overgrown, and it's an eyesore. So I'm very, very happy to see that this ordinance will go into effect. And I wanted to know, what happens then? We approve this, and then what's the itinerary after this? So we approve this, and then what happens? You may. Yeah.
Thank you. Local land and buildings law requires that any time a governmental entity acquires an interest in property, as a conservation easement is, it requires an ordinance to approve. This is the introduction of that ordinance. Once the governing body decides whether or not to accept that ordinance and approve that ordinance, then the conservation easement would be recorded with the Middlesex County Clerk's Office to put the world on notice that there is in fact a conservation easement that covers the affected areas, and no further building could take place in that easement area.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I know that, I believe we approved this, this was approved back in, was it 2022? By the, was it planning that did that? Yeah, so I know all of us in the neighborhood are very anxious to see this project move along. All right, so we move on to, Madam, I'm sorry, oh, yep, roll call. Oh, okay.
Councilmember Coyle?
Yes.
Councilmember Patel?
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer?
Yes.
Councilmember Shmuel?
Yes.
Council President Harris?
Yes. All right, Madam Clerk, could you read the ordinance 2250?
An ordinance amending Chapter 2 Administration, Article 3 Departments by amending portions of the subsection 2-33.1 Division of Fire, Rescue, and Emergency Services through subsection 2-33.6 Firefighters and Promotion Procedures.
Thank you very much. We'll get a motion to introduce.
Council President, I move this ordinance be passed on first reading, published accordingly to law for further consideration and public hearing set down for May 14th,
Okay, can I get a second?
2025.
Okay, second by Councilman Shmuel. Council comments? All right, seeing none, can we get a roll call?
Councilmember Coyle?
Yes.
Councilmember Patel?
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer?
Yes.
Councilmember Shmuel?
Yes.
Council President Harris?
Yes. All right, we move to number 8, public comment on the resolutions only. Anyone from the public? Joyce?
Joyce Ship Freeman, Edison, New Jersey. The resolution authorizing the Township of Edison to enter into a cooperation agreement.
I'm
with-
sorry, Joyce, which number?
187.
187.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, that took seconds off of me. Ew. Okay, only playing. Resolution authorizing with the Edison Housing Authority. And I read through the information and stuff. It says, providing the lawyer agrees with it. So do we have to pass, you have to pass this first, then it goes to the law director?
Okay,
The form of agreement would go through the law department for review and approval if the governing body agrees that we should enter into this cooperation agreement.
Thank you. I just wanted
You're
to
welcome.
make sure that, because I read through the whole thing, I have this problem of reading all the time. Then I was asking about 194, about the infrastructure bank to be issued a principal amount of up to a certain percentage. I thought we got a large amount of money from the infrastructure bank already.
so I'm sorry, what's your question then?
I thought we had money already to work with from the infrastructure bank. Are we still just taking it piecemeal, still just adding more and more onto it? Money from the infrastructure bank?
Okay, Sonia?
No, this is just required through the infrastructure bank in order to go and get the funding. They've approved it. This is just part of the process that we get it before the council for their approval.
So we have to put 8 million up front, 8 million, we have to put that money up front before we can get any of the other money?
It's already been bonded.
Okay, it's already been bonded, so this is just for their approval for us to go to the next level.
Yes,
for
ma'am.
the infrastructure for the water. I'm just hoping that this water gets done sometime in my lifetime. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Resolutions only? All right, seeing none, you get a motion to close public portion?
Motion to close the public portion?
Second.
Thank you. Okay. Anything now, number 9, anything to pull for a separate vote from the consent agenda?
Council President?
Yes.
I'd like to pull 187 and 194 for separate
And
votes.
190, which one?
194?
Okay.
4, 8, 7.
Yes, okay. Can we get a motion to approve resolutions 178 through 186 and 188 through 193, and then 195 and 196?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, was that an all in favor? Or is that- Okay, roll call? All right,
This is.
Yes.
Council, yes. Councilmember Coyle. Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer. Councilmember Shmuel.
Yes.
Council President Harris.
yes, okay. Council Vice President, take it away.
Thank you. For 187, I just wanted to express my appreciation to Executive Director Deborah Hurley and the entire Housing Authority for the work that they are doing at the Robert Holmes Garden. For those that may not be aware, the rental assistance program that they are working with the federal government to receive funding to refurbish I believe there's about 90 units that are there. I did see some people have the misconception that these were going to be new housing units. These are refurbished housing units, so I just also want to make that clarification. But first and foremost, I just want to express my appreciation to Deborah Hurley and the entire Housing Authority for the work that they've done in terms of getting us to this point. Thank you, Council President.
All right, do we vote on that one separately? Okay, all right. So can I get a motion to approve Resolution 187?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Yes.
Council President Harris.
Yes. All right, Council Vice President, 194.
Thank you, Council President. Just for general background, for anyone that may not know, in 2023 and 2024, we had 4 main bond ordinances put for consideration that were approved that were aimed towards improving several sewer pump stations and improving water lines and what we have in front of us here. So we had approved this particular bond in the beginning of 2024. I believe it was a unanimous approval at that point. And all that this resolution is doing is allowing for us to issue those bonds to the iBank so that we can receive those fundings. One of the benefits with the iBank is that their terms that they give municipalities is at a decreased interest rate. Usually, to my understanding, around 0.1 to 0.2%, and I believe interest rates right now are significantly higher than that. So for me, I'm happy to support this. I'm glad that we are progressing on this and that we will be able to improve our infrastructure to this capacity. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Okay, for Resolution 194, can I get a motion?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Coyle.
Yes.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Shmuel.
Yes.
Council President Harris.
Yes. Okay, we move on to oral petitions and remarks. Okay, yes, sir.
Sam, Sam Lamb, 20 Parch Place. When I walk through Edison, there's some streets that have hardly any trees, and I was wondering if the council ever discussed the idea to require homeowners to have like one tree on their front lawn.
Do you have any other questions, sir, besides that? We can tackle them all at once, but.
The second question was, is if anything is being done about the deer in South Edison near the railway tracks, because, I can see easily a pack of 5 or 6 just, grazing and eating up all the freshly planted, shrubs and flowers. And so that's my second question.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to start with your second question first. Where are we with the deer study? Anything going on there?
Just a little background. In 2023, I had established another deer committee to kind of review what the previous studies had put forward and what really our options are. The township has 3 options to consider. One is either tranquilizing and moving them, which is very costly, and I'm not even sure if we're allowed to move them to other municipalities, quite frankly. The second option is to neuter the deer, for lack of better words, and that is also costly. The third option is to allow for a hunting season within the township. In order for us to do the third option, we would have to actually modify our current code because our discharge code does not allow for the discharging part of bow and arrow. We did not recommend firearms. We don't have the space for firearms, quite honestly. But we would have to modify that code to allow for the discharge of bow and arrows. The issue on the south side particularly is that there's not too many open spaces where that type of hunt can actually be facilitated. State law requires that for bow hunting, you have to have 150 feet buffer between any residential property. On the south side, there's not too many areas outside of like the boat basin area, like that ravine, that really allows for that type of space requirement. Even if you allowed that, and I don't want to take up too much, but even if you allowed that for the entire township, you have to deal with the fact that the deer are going to replenish. They're going to have new babies, and they will eventually migrate to the areas where, even if there were a decrease in the population, it will eventually be repopulated. In order for you to see a decrease on the total population, you have to reduce it by about 40% on an annual basis. In my honest opinion, I don't think it's a realistic measure to meet in Edison, unfortunately.
Thank you. Yes,
Councilman,
Councilman
I just
Terrell?
want to add that I'm glad that you brought that up because we know of the issue. It's a constant conversation amongst us. But it's not so simple. It's not a simple fix. So we're working on it, and hopefully we find a resolution for those deer.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. The other question had been about the streets that don't have trees, and is there some kind of requirement for trees, at least one tree to be planted?
Not for current homeowners, but if there's obviously if there's a new home built, they do have to replace it, not with just trees, but with shrubs. So with any new build, that is a requirement.
Okay, all right. Sir, does that answer your questions?
Just 2 thoughts. One is it possible to have, if a house is sold, for the certificate of occupancy to be issued, to have that as a requirement, that there should be at least one tree on the front lawn before the new person moves in?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think his time
His
is up.
time is up, that
Okay.
froze up there.
Oh,
His
okay.
time was
I
up.
would have had no way of knowing that. I'm sorry, sir. Our clock, our timer is not working, and your 4 minutes is up. But you can certainly ask this question offline after the meeting's over.
All right.
Okay? Thank you, sir.
Council President?
Yes.
I did want to follow up on the question about the trees in front of the
Sure.
properties to legal counsel. Is there a possibility, we do have a tree fund, and if some resident is interested in planting a tree or something along the lines, is there a possibility that the township can plant it for them?
Generally, those are street trees that are placed in the right-of-way. I call it the verge, the area between the sidewalk and the curb, that the township has the ability to use a tree fund to plant in those areas, but once you go beyond the sidewalk onto the private property of the owners, you do not.
With the permission of the private property owners?
It's a slippery slope. Some say yes, some say no. What do you do if the one property owner's neighbor doesn't want the tree there?
But it's still,
Yeah,
the property is
it's
still.
doable. I've generally seen it take with property owners not being required to do it, but being able to make application to the municipality for trees, and they get them at a reduced cost based upon the economies of scale. That can be done.
Okay, I think that would be something interested in. If I want to initiate some sort of project like that, how would I go about doing that? Would that be through administration?
Yes,
Sonia, if we can initiate some project like that, that would be really helpful.
We've done in the past was seedlings, and certainly we can encourage it in that way, but we can discuss that further.
Well, sounds good, thank you.
Okay, was there something else, Council Vice President?
Council President, just along those lines, I believe it was 2018 or 2019, there was actually an ordinance put forth for that type of contribution to use the tree fund for. One of the items, though, is that you have to be careful that you don't expend the entire tree fund in like a year, right? So you have to set like a cap with that. I'll share with my councilor colleagues what that ordinance was. I tried to revisit that. And I would definitely support it. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Next, yes, Joyce?
Joyce Ship Freeman, Edison, New Jersey. You're never going to have be able to take care of the deer program, because as long as we overdevelop, they have no place to go but in our backyard. So as long as they're overdeveloping, nothing's going to happen. I'm telling you, you can have all the committees you want. It doesn't happen. On the Housing Authority, the Housing Authority RAD program was approved back in 2022. I am glad now that the township has got on board so we can now move forward with the program at all. Because every place I go and the place I go, I make sure it's better off when I leave there, and that's what people should do. Starting off with the tennis courts, the basketball courts, all that at all. I still go to the meetings. I still hope that they move forward in the things they're doing. Another thing I find highly disturbing when I look around, I find misogynistic and disturbing because we have the president of the library board keep saying disparaging remarks about our town clerk. I don't think that's nice. I think somebody should tell the people, whoever appointed that person, not to do that, okay? Because you're married, this is not the old days where the wife is property of the man. Women nowadays have their own, their own life. They work outside of the home. They're lawyers, they're doctors and everything. So they're not responsible for anything but themselves, okay? Especially after their children are grown. I think that's highly disgusting. I think somebody should do something about it. I don't like it at all, point blank. Because I don't think if you're mad at the mayor, you should talk junk about his wife. I think you should stick to the people who are the actual person that you're doing. Another thing that kind of bothered me a bit, y'all really hell-bent on time, because I seen a lady, and I was watching it, I was seeing that the lady was deaf. But good God Almighty, y'all held her tight to the 4 minutes, no matter what. I was like, whoa, handicapped people, I mean, you guys can do better than you do. I mean, you don't have to be that smug. You can do better. I've been around handicapped people and different people. I've been around autistic people and all these people. Maybe you guys stay in a bubble somewhere. But I don't think it's nice that you would rush a person off that, has hearing problems back and forth. And then last but not least, as I'm walking around and knocking on doors and looking at different things that's going on in the town, I had another person with me, but a lot of police officers follow me from different neighborhoods to whatever. So I told them, hey, y'all don't have to go with me anymore. I said, because while I'm knocking on the door, I'll have police escorts, which is good, which is a plus, back and forth, for us. But other than that, I think that it's highly terrible, because we have these small things now because elections coming up. But I think it's terrible that you would only have 4 minutes to discuss some major issues. The water, other things that are coming up, the humongous amount of bonds that, I can count them up, the amount of it. I don't know if we're gonna have a decent budget hearing, because the last great budget hearing we had when Mayor Tom Lanke was being questioned thoroughly for about 2 hours and a half by Councilman Sam Josie at the time. But if y'all gonna do a 5-minute deal, don't even worry about the thing. If nobody can ask questions, nobody can really review the budget properly, then it's just a show. That's all it is. It's nothing real. You don't want any real answers from people. It's just a show. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Liz, next.
Elizabeth Conway, 20 Netherwood Circle. I had a simple question, and I thought I wouldn't have to come up to the podium to ask, so I did ask Mr. Coyle if he could just give me a quick answer, but he told me I had to refer it to the council board, so I'm up here. The item for 110 Clive Street, Edison, I like to put it into my Google. It shows you a picture of the place. So I saw where the Schuyler one was there, and it proved to me that it really needed it. But when I went in and I put in 110 Clive, it came out Metuchen. Is there some kind of overlap to that property, was my biggest question.
Any other questions?
No, I just wanted to let Marlena know, it did stop at 319 on that item, but not there.
Okay, all right.
But that was my only question.
Yes, that's a very good question. I know both mayors, back in '22, Bush and Joshi, were discussing this whole thing. I'm confused about it as well, because as far as I know, and I'll get some clarification on this, but as far as I know, that property is on the Edison side. If it was across the street, the brick house that's across the street from it, actually, half of the house is in Edison and half of it is in Metuchen, so they pay a combination of taxes on that. But everything on that side, as far as I know, is Edison. But can I get some clarification, Counselor?
Sure. That was my only question.
Sometimes the mailing address is not consistent with where the property is actually located. That's a post office issue, not necessarily a municipal boundary issue.
Oh, that's clear.
Nice, simple answer.
Okay, thank you. Yes, sir.
Council President, and that's the same reason why I didn't answer her question while I was walking to the bathroom, because it was a deep answer. In fact, sometimes I Google properties that are retail stores, and they're not on that street on the tax assessor map. It's much different. The physical address is not always the address assessed or on the record. But I'm glad she came out to verify and get her answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Vinny, South Jersey News. I watched the meeting last time on Monday, and I watched a woman who was deaf, and I wasn't too happy with the situation. So a deaf woman came to this podium and asked for an interpreter in advance on Friday. When she showed up, no one had a clue she was coming. That's not just negligence, but a disgrace. What's worse is when her time was up, Council President Harris, you banged the gavel as if she could hear it. You tried to talk to her as if she could hear you. Are you serious? And the saddest part, the most humiliating things that I've ever, this is one of the most humiliating things I've ever seen in public. Not just for her, but for you in this town. This is what happens when a local government doesn't give a damn about the people with disabilities. You didn't plan, you didn't accommodate, you didn't care. The woman's voice didn't matter to you because you knew she couldn't hear you anyway. That's not disrespect, that's discrimination. It didn't stop there. On a cold, rainy night, you made elderly residents and disabled people climb up that steep ramp to get into this building, some in electric wheelchairs. Left out in the rain, electric wheelchairs. Do you know what water does to those things? It's a safety hazard and an accessibility violation, period. This is how we treat the disabled here. This town, this town claims to serve all residents, but Edison needs to shape up. You are failing, you're most vulnerable, and it's shameful. As for you, Councilwoman Harris, you are not fit for the chair and these meetings. You can't manage the room, you can't protect basic rights, you don't uphold the public's access or decency. I'm calling for a no vote confidence in your leadership. Right here and now. I'm asking the council who will stand up and say it. Who's going to admit that what's obvious and what everyone's watching, that Harris does not run these meetings well, that she violates public rights, and that she silences dissent. Councilman Brescher and Patel aren't here, but I called for them. I said, now it's your time. You sat through it, you saw it. I was removed for playing public meeting minutes. You saw disabled citizens disrespected and ignored. Are you going to stay quiet, all of you? I'll ask all of you, instead of just Councilman Patel and Brescher, who I think have the most integrity. The people are watching. We see what's happening. We won't be silent, even if you try to throw us out. Get your shit together, because if you don't start showing some respect for the people who show up here, rain or shine, hearing or deaf, walking or wheeling, then we the people will show up for you at the ballot box or in the courts.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
I will be remaining anonymous. A couple of things I want to say. Yeah, that was very disturbing to watch at the last meeting. It sounded like as you were calling on the lady, council president, you got Joe over here, so quick to call a motion to close public comment, every single time. He's batting 1,000 for that, except for when he's in the bathroom. Then John will call a point of we'll close the public. I thought that was a pretty disgusting thing to watch. If you're ever going to give someone a little bit of extra time, wouldn't that be it's not like you had Ron's a little bit more lenient with these meetings. He allows you to run them. You didn't have Dave in your ear telling you to cut it down, cut it. Her 4 minutes are up. But you, on your own will, decided to make sure that she didn't go a second over. Meanwhile, she's trying to sign her name to you. It's another reason why we should have the 6 minutes and not the 4 minutes. A couple meetings ago when I was here, there was a lady from the Lions Club when you guys were recognizing the Lions Club and all the good work that they do in the community. And she came up to speak, and she was cut off by 4 minutes. And you could feel the energy in the room. It was pretty upsetting that her time got cut off. She wasn't able to finish it. If she had 6 minutes, maybe she would have been able to finish it. So that was pretty disturbing to watch, but meaning to bring that up. And I know Christo's not here. I wanted to give him something tonight, but with all the stuff that's happened with him and his rights being violated over and over numerous times after the ridiculous FASPA order that he beat, that kept him, that barred him from these meetings to participate, it's the lengths that this town goes to violate certain people's rights, certain people who are critics of the government. So I made this for Christo. He's not here to receive it, but what I have here is a key to the city of Edison. We don't need government to acknowledge. We don't need the people. We're the ones in charge. So this is Christo's award. It's a key to the city of Edison. Traditionally, a key to the city represents somebody being able to go within city limits and come as they please. And he is no longer barred from the meetings from this ridiculous VASPA order that for some reason every time we bring it up, it's attempted to be silenced again. So I think what I'm going to do, you know what I'd like to do with this? I'd like to display it upstairs where there used to be artwork, where the mayor decided to remove all of the artwork from the Edison Art Society. I think I'm going to go up there and take this key to the city and maybe take down one of the pictures of Mayor Joshi and then put this up and restore the art that we've just decided to just remove. Do I have anybody's approval of doing that? Can I go upstairs after this meeting and take down one of his campaign photos and put the key to the city for Christo, Jersey Watcher? Any response? Restore those public hallways with some artwork? Nothing? Well, this is a key to the city for Christo, and he is allowed to go wherever he wants within these city limits. There is no more barring him from the meeting.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Hello, Council. My name is Elram, E-L-R-A-M, Pador, P-A-D-O-R, a citizen of Earth. I'm here because I do not have Zoom access to take part in these meetings with Zoom. You took it away. After 19 months of giving it to us, you took it away. So I have to risk my life to wear my burqa in public because it's very dangerous for me to go against my religion to show my body without the burqa in public. If I do, I will get stoned, and not New Jersey stoned, Middle Eastern stoned. Not good. I have to risk my life to come here to speak. And why do I come here to speak? Because Sam Joshi shut down the wheelchair access. Months ago, I saw it. He shut down the wheelchair access. Joshi and his security team shut down the wheelchair access, made sick and dying people go up this hill, up this horrible hill. A one-legged woman, people in wheelchairs, sick and dying people, vets. You did not care for the disabled. There's a lawsuit against you for this. You are being sued. You think you would learn your lesson, but Monday, you shut down a deaf woman. All you had to do was go get the machine. You had Friday and Monday to get the machine. Why was it so hard to go get the machine? The BA cannot go down the hall and get the machine? The BA cannot stop them when they want to do something illegal against the ADA, but there's no banisters, no lighting, and no ramp? This town is horrible for the disabled. You treat them horribly. Sam Joshi's to blame for blocking off the entrance. He's going to lose his erection, and we are all going to laugh when he loses his erection. He should lose his erection. And your BA should find another job. All you have to do is take care of the disabled. How hard is that to do? You're being sued for it. You should be aware of it, but you're not. You're asleep. Someday in your family, you'll see someone who's disabled. There's a very young man that comes here, very good-looking man, lefty. He says to you every time, go get in the wheelchair, spend one day in the wheelchair, and nobody ever does it. Nobody ever spends a day in the wheelchair. Why? Why? Because it's bad. It's horrible. And you should help anybody that's in a wheelchair. You don't even have access to this stupid platform here. You raise people up on a platform, except if you're in a wheelchair, you can't get up on a platform. No thought given to the disabled in this town. None. One of you could have called the point of order. Richard Bressler, one of you, point of order, 5-minute recess. BA, go get the machine. Go get the machine, hurry up. Chop, chop, get the machine. But no, we got nothing. Again, disabled people get nothing. And it was kind of disgusting when you're talking to the deaf person and you're banging a gavel. Come on, man. Situational awareness and disability rights are human rights. Disability rights are human rights. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else? Make a motion to close vote.
Motion to close the public portion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Can I get a second? Was that Councilman Schmuel? All right. We are adjourned. But the second was Councilman Schmuel. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry, it was Councilman Patel. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. This meeting is adjourned at 8:05 PM.